Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new DC Essentials Red Hood from DC Collectibles. And I'm not the biggest fan of the DC Essentials line. I do think there's a couple good figures out there, but I never went all in on it because I just wasn't that impressed. I feel like there's not enough in there for, you know, a $30 figure. There should be a little bit more accessories, and I really didn't like their excuse as to why they didn't have the accessories. They're like, it's Essentials, it's a bare bones version of your favorite characters. I thought that was like a cop-out kinda. But anyways, I feel like DC Essentials is on its way out, and I know that DC Collectibles hasn't really given like an official word that they've canceled the line, but I feel like they're not pushing it as hard as they used to. So if that's the case, and this is indeed one of the last DC Essentials figures that we see, I feel like they're going out on a high note because this thing is awesome. But anyways, let's get into it, starting with the packaging. It does have collector-friendly packaging. You can take the figure out, play with it, put it back in the box, and he does look cool in there. And it's the basic DC Collectibles packaging that we've seen on a lot of DC Collectibles figures and lines, and it works. I think it looks nice. You're able to see the figure, DC Collectibles down here, a DC Essentials Red Hood up here, and then there's a little DC Collectibles like official stamp thing going on. And then on the back we get a look at the other figures that came out at the same time as the Red Hood, and again, it's all very basic. There's a very brief biography of the Red Hood right in here, and then there's a little description of the DC Essentials line right up here. On the side we get a shot of the figure, and that's about it. So let's open it up and take a look at this guy. So here's Red Hood out of the box, and holy crap, I'm liking this figure a lot more than I thought I would, so I'm really happy with it. But anyways, let's get into it, starting with the way that the figure looks. And I know a lot of people have a problem with the DC Essentials figures because they feel like their limbs are too long, their legs are too long, and I could kind of agree with that. And I feel like with the Red Hood here, his arms don't look as awkward, maybe because of the jacket, and they are the same length as other DC Essentials figures. Oh wait, actually, are they? Yeah, they're about the same. Actually, Superman's might be a little bit longer. That's kind of strange, but yeah, it looks like they did a better job with the arms. He definitely doesn't look as awkward as some of the other DC Essentials figures, and it might be the jacket helping that out, but whatever it is, it's working, and I'm happy with it. The legs do look a little weird. I feel like they're a little bit long. I don't know, look at that. What do you think? I feel like the proportions are not as bad as some other DC Essentials figures. I mean, I mean, I'm not crazy mad about the proportions on these figures. I just know that that's a common complaint, but I don't really see that being the case with the Red Hood. I don't think people are going to complain about it as much. Maybe because there's more things going on and it's kind of distracting from some of the disproportioned limbs. Like, you know, you have these things on the legs and the boots and the jacket. So maybe all that stuff is just helping it out. In any case, I think the figure looks really good. Let's take a look at the jacket here. You got some creases right here. Not a lot of paint details on it, but it still looks really nice. I like the color a lot. And then you have the bat logo on his chest. It looks really good, and it's all painted very well. It's very clean. And then let's see here. You have his like holsters, and let's go ahead and take a look at those. You could stick the guns right in there with no problem. They're not going to fall out or anything, so that looks really good. And yeah, all that looks nice. And then down in here into the legs, you have these armored like lower leg shin guards. So yeah, I think it's a really good looking figure, man. I like everything about the way that it looks. And most importantly, let's take a look at his head sculpt. And look at that. That thing is awesome. I'm loving this metallic look to the head. It looks crazy. And then check out the eyes. I like how they're white with a little bit of black outlining the white parts. Looks really good. And there's some sculpted lines in there. It's not just like a solid red thing. Look at that. That is awesome. That looks really, really good. And the Red Hood has had a couple of different like helmet designs, and I feel like this one is the most streamlined and cleaned. I really don't like the style that the new Mattel figure went with. That one just looks kind of weird to me. But this right here, this looks perfect. I like the way this looks a lot. Got the hands here. You got these like knuckle things. Yeah, I think he's a good looking figure. I really can't see people complaining about the way that this figure looks. And I've wanted a Red Hood figure for the longest time, but I've just never been happy with any of the ones that have been released. But this one here, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm all over that, man. This one looks good. This one looks incredible. And I was just hoping that I would like it as much in hand. And that's definitely the case so far. And staying true to their bare bones approach to accessories, they didn't give the Red Hood too many things, but I do feel like they did give him pretty much everything that you would need for a Red Hood. Of course, they could have included maybe like an unmasked head or maybe a couple more sets of hands or something, but I'm pretty happy with what we have here because they did give us the essentials in this case. So first off, he has 2 sets of hands. He does come with a pair of fists. And then he has a set of trigger finger gun holding hands. Those of course can be used to hold on to the 2 guns that he comes with. The 2 guns that he comes with are pretty cool. There's nothing crazy special about them, but I do like them. I think they might be like Desert Eagles. I don't know. I'm not a gun expert, but I feel like, I mean, that sounds right. I don't know, maybe, but it does look cool. It has like silver up here, has a black like hand grip, and yeah, I like these things. And like I said, he looks really cool holding them, so I think they work. Just real quick, one problem I do have with DC Essentials figures is that they're kind of hard to stand up or to have them in like a natural just standing pose without them falling, you know? I don't know what it is with these figures, but that's like always happening. Maybe it's because the foot joint is kind of one of those clicky kind of deals. So it's like ratcheted. So maybe that kind of, you can't get into that perfect spot whenever you're trying to pose them. But yeah, it drives me crazy. You know, obviously you can get them to stand. It's not like you won't stand up, but if you're trying to pose them in different ways for pictures and stuff, it gets a little frustrating. And it's, like I said, it's not like it's impossible to get him into the positions you want, but it just takes a little bit more patience because he falls down. That was just what was going on when I was trying to mess with them and take some pictures. So that might not be the case for everybody. Maybe I'm just not the best at posing and standing figures, but I feel like that was the same situation with the DC Essentials Flash figure. I just couldn't get him to stand up. He was falling all over the place and it kind of drove me crazy. And now for some size comparisons, I have the Red Hood alongside the DC Essentials Superman and the DC Collectibles Batman from the Ninja Turtles 2-packs. Unfortunately, I don't have the DC Essentials Batman, so I can't do a comparison with him, but I'm pretty sure that figure is the same size as the DC Essentials Superman because a lot of these figures share the same parts and they're basically repaints of each other. So hopefully seeing Superman and the Red Hood together here will give you a good idea of how the Red Hood would look next to Batman. And then now we have him alongside the DC Collectibles Capullo Batman, I think that's which one that is, and the NECA Superman from the DC vs. Dark Horse 2-packs. Then next up, we have him alongside the Mezco 112 Collective Joker and the Mezco 112 Collective Sovereign Knight Batman. And even though he's a little tall next to these guys, I think he looks pretty good with them, and I'm probably going to leave him displayed on my Mezco DC shelf. Well, at least until we get a Mezco Red Hood, but for now, I think he looks really good next to these guys. Here we have him alongside the DC Collectibles Robin from the Ninja Turtles 2-packs and the DC Icons Nightwing from DC Collectibles. And then now here we have him alongside the NECA movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Leonardo and the Hasbro Lightning Collection Green Ranger. And as always, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap and Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man. And then for the final comparison, we have him with the Marvel Select Movie Wolverine and the Marvel Legends Scarlet Spider. And I wanted to put these guys in here just to show that these Essentials figures are a really weird scale because I feel like they're not tall enough for 7-inch scale, but they're not really short enough for 6-inch, even for the bigger 6-inch Marvel Legends type of scale. So they're kind of in between somewhere. And I'd say the articulation on the Red Hood is pretty good. These DC Essentials figures have kind of a basic setup, but it's a modern basic setup. You know, it has all the good stuff, double jointed elbows, knees, and everything. They just took away some things that were really good that they had going with the Icon stuff. And I say it every time I talk about a DC Essentials figure, but they have a single jointed torso. Back with the Icons figures, they had a really cool double jointed torso. And that was one big thing I didn't like when they switched from Icons to Essentials. But, you know, for the most part, the articulation setup is pretty good on this guy. So let's take a look here. His head is able to move side to side. Let's see, he doesn't really have too much tilt to it, just a little bit, but he can look up a really nice amount. Look at that. That's good. He could look down a really good amount too. So that works. And then he has a ab crunch that goes to right there. It doesn't really bend that much. Again, I really miss that double jointed torso thing they used to do, but I'm okay with what's here. And it could go back to about right there, but the jacket definitely gets in the way. And then he has a waist swivel. And then for the arms, they could go all the way around. They could come out to the side. And he has upper bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows, which are pretty good. Check them out. They get a really nice bend to them. And then he has a swivel at the wrist and a hinge at the wrist. And yeah, these arms are okay. It would be cool if they had some kind of shoulder swivel, but they do not. But still, I think they're alright. You could get his arms in front of his body pretty well. Check that out. You know, it's not too bad. And for the legs, let's see. They could kick forward, only to about right there. They could come back to about right there. They could come to the side. I mean, they could come to the side a little bit more, but as you can see, I'm pushing the gun holster out of the way here. Here we go. Yeah, so they could pretty much come all the way out to the side. And then you have the upper thigh swivel. And these gun holsters are really cool. They're very soft plastic. They don't get in the way. You don't have to worry about damaging them or nothing. And I really love how the strap here sits right on the upper thigh joint. That's really awesome. So you can't even see it. So that's good stuff. And then he has double jointed knees that have a good bend. And then he has a lower boot cut. And then he has like a ball joint at the ankle. And I'm not a huge fan of these things because like I mentioned before, they're a little bit ratchety. I wish they weren't. I wish they were just free flowing so you don't have to be in one of the weird in-between positions so that it'll function. But yeah, I don't know. These things are a little bit weird. And it is a ball joint, so you have to shift it around to give them rocking ankles. And I mean, the foot is in there on a peg too, but it just doesn't get that much movement by itself. You have to really move that ball joint around in order to get decent rocking ankles. And you can move it back around to get his foot pointing forward or up. And like I said, there's a little bit of a swivel there because it's on a peg. But yeah, like I said, it's a basic articulation setup for a modern figure, but I think it's pretty good. I think what we have here works out pretty good for the Red Hood. Okay guys, so overall I like this figure a lot, and I'm really happy to finally have a good Red Hood figure. Even though he's a really cool looking character and he's Batman related and there's just a lot of good things going for him, I feel like there's not very many action figures of the Red Hood that are worth picking up. I know there's a couple video game ones that people like and those are fine, but for me there's never been one that was worth getting until now, and I'm really happy to finally have one because he's just such a cool looking character. I love that red mask that he has. He has guns. He's like crazy, an anti-hero, and you know, but he's still Batman related, which is crazy because usually Batman is like on the up and up and there's not too much killing going on. The Red Hood doesn't care about any of that. He does his thing and he's a really cool looking character, and I think DC Collectibles did a really good job with this guy. And I kind of have a love-hate relationship when it comes to DC Collectibles because I know that they're capable of making good figures and producing good action figure lines, but I feel like sometimes they just don't. But every now and then they come through with a hit, and that's definitely the case here because this thing is awesome, and it's kind of making me want to go back and buy more DC Essentials figures, which, you know, I'm not a huge fan of that line, but there's some good ones out there that I've just kind of ignored because I just didn't want to get into it. But you know, getting this guy is making me want to go back and get those, like the Watchmen figures. Those ones look good, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna even bother. But seeing how cool this guy came out makes me want to go back and get those, so I might do that. But anyways, I'm really happy with this guy. It would have been cool if we had a couple more accessories, but for the most part, I think that he came with everything that he needs. I mean, an unmasked head would have been nice, but you know, it's not really like a deal breaker or anything. As long as he has his guns, I'm good to go. So yeah, I'm really happy with this figure, and I think that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. If you're interested in the Unparalleled Universe mascot head sculpt, you could still order it. Go ahead and hit the link in the description below if you'd like to do that. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a thumbs up. Thank you very much. Peace.